This is a 6-stage framework, and most people never make it past stage 2, but I'm gonna show you exactly how to get all the way through it. You've probably heard all of the grind culture gym bros all over Instagram say it. Discipline over motivation. It sounds hard, feels intense, and gets tons of likes on IG, but here's the thing. Most of the people saying it have no idea how real human performance actually works. I've spent the past 10 years, over a decade, studying performance psychology, and I'm telling you right now, discipline is not the ultimate goal. It's just one stage of something way more powerful. If you want to build real freedom in your life, in your business, or in your identity, there's only one place to start, and that's skill. Whether it's skill that you already have or skill that you have a desire to build. And there's a specific reason why I say that. And no, it doesn't sound sexy, but it's the one thing that I've seen lays the foundation for everything else. In this video, I'm breaking down what I call the performance freedom engine. It's the exact sequence of factors that will take you from struggling with motivation to being locked in, fulfilled, and free to build life on your own terms, by your own design. This is a 6-stage framework, and most people never make it past stage 2, but I'm gonna show you exactly how to tackle all 6. So let's dive into exactly what this is. So as you see here, the first stage is skill. There's a few reasons why I think skill is important. And again, this can be a skill that you already know that you have, or a skill that you already are certain that you want to develop. I want to give a shout out to Cal Newport. If you haven't read the book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, I think it's a great book that summarizes exactly why skill is fundamental and why it completely outweighs specifically passion. In the book, Cal Newport talks about really honing in on what's something that you're fucking good at and that you can be so good at that nobody can tell you no. Nobody can afford to not hire you. Nobody can afford to look the other way. And I think that that's a really powerful way as well to build absolute self-accountability. Now, the special part about skill is by focusing on something that you can get objectively better at through effort, you're able to build leverage. And you don't need to rely on external circumstances to say, hey, if I follow this process, I will objectively be better at. Now, once you're clear on what that skill is, the second stage, which everyone thinks is the one and only stage, is discipline. Once you're clear on what that skill is, you need to implement some level of discipline, which is simply listening to what you say you're going to do and doing it whether or not you feel like it's what you want to do in the moment. You take that discipline and you implement that skill, or you implement the practice of developing that skill. And knowing that the third step is confidence, discipline isn't punishment. It's the reps that'll give you the proof that you're good at what you're doing. Because confidence doesn't only just come from the mindset of saying, I want to be a confident person. It comes from actually implementing the reps, stacking the evidence to show yourself, fuck yeah, I am good at that thing. I'm gonna do it again. Because once you really start to feel competent, you're gonna start to trust yourself. And that trust is what gives you all the confidence in the world. Because self-trust at the end of the day is a foundation for confidence. If you've made it to this point, you're already ahead of 99% of people who keep looking for shortcuts instead of building the engine that actually creates long-term freedom. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe if this has been valuable so far. So now what happens when you absolutely, undeniably trust yourself and you're so confident that you're so fucking good at everything that you're trying to pursue? Now what do? Well, you go and you fucking do it again. And what is that? Oh, wait a minute, motivation. Now the thing here is, to some extent, that's an extrinsic level of motivation, but because it's coming from some sort of feedback external to you to say, oh yes, you're good at this thing, pat on the back, validation. Okay, that's great. Well, at least it's building that motivation. Now what happens here is when you sustain that motivation over time, which again, everyone wants to call discipline, but it's not. Discipline is what allows you to do the thing repeatedly enough to stack the proof to say that you're confident. Once you get to that point, now all that external validation, that extrinsic motivation that keeps you chasing after it, doing it again, that starts to create a dopamine feedback loop in your brain. And what's so powerful about a dopamine-driven feedback loop is that it starts to self-perpetuate. And that dopamine, the neurotransmitter, motivates us to seek and repeat those same behaviors. Real quick, it's important to understand that this can be insanely powerful, but only if it's built around the right habits. It's the same feedback system that drives addiction, compulsive behavior. So if you're not intentional, it'll work against you just as fast as it can work for you. So you tell me, Do you think it's more powerful to force discipline? Or do you think it's more powerful to rely on a chemical in the brain that binds to our receptors and tells us, go and do it again? Which one do you think is more effective? So think of an example in your life where you're trying to force discipline instead of building this framework. You know, easy examples for most people probably are going to the gym and knowing that I can be committed to being an active person. Or another one, if you're someone that struggles socially, a commitment would be go out and talk to a stranger. Spark up a conversation with the bartender. Actually turn to the person next to you in that elevator and compliment what they're wearing. When you start to feel the effects of something like that, and these are all things that I personally have done in my life to grow in so many different ways, you feel that confidence to know, wait, I actually can talk to someone, or wait, I can actually go into the gym and develop my strength. Holy shit, yeah, I want to do that more. That type of momentum building is what's going to ultimately set you free. So going back to this cycle, now you've built the motivation. Now that wiring in your brain has been set. What's the next step? Dedication. You've shifted that extrinsic motivation to intrinsic reward and pleasure seeking. And now it comes back to being dedicated to who you are and the version of yourself that you've now created. A lot of this goes into the language that you use around the identity that you embody. And once you're doing the things that feels like you, like who you are, you no longer need to force it. You actually just need to be in alignment with your identity and your actions and be dedicated to acting according to who you are and not outside of it. Because if you start to deviate and start to lose that discipline, well, what's the likelihood of that happening if by doing that, you're acting outside of who you are? If I told you, hey, don't smoke this cigarette today, would you look at me and be like, oh, no, I don't know if I could do it? No, you wouldn't, because you don't, well, I hope you don't smoke cigarettes. That's not a part of who you are. You're not a smoker. So thinking of something that you would do, if I were to say, hey, make sure to drink your water today, you'd be like, yeah, got it, cool, no problem. That's all about acting in alignment with who you are. And dedication is effortless when it's no longer discipline, it's integrity. And once you have that dedication to that singular path, you start to create long-term freedom. And financial freedom, yeah, that's one big part of it. But more importantly, having the clarity and autonomy and fulfillment of knowing that what you're doing is what you should be doing and you're destined to be doing, there's nothing more freeing than that. If this resonated for you, drop a comment below. What stage are you in right now? And what's that skill that you're working to build? Once you're free, the cycle continues. You can reinvest all of that energy now that you're completely free and clear into that skill or into a new skill. And that's where the exponential growth happens, and that's how people keep expanding. If there's nothing else that you get from this video, understand this. You will not beat discipline. The Performance Freedom Engine isn't a theory. It's how I've built my own alignment, and it's what I coach other entrepreneurs through every day in order to break out of burnout and into clarity. If you want more of this, make sure to hit that subscribe button or come hang out with me on Instagram at Jesse H. Hoffman, where I throw a lot more value out there on this kind of stuff. And please keep feeding me more ideas, more topics. I want to make sure that all these videos are valuable to everyone watching them. I can't thank you enough for the support. I'll see you soon. Peace.